What's up, everybody? Hey, Tom Laird here, host of the Advice from a Call Center Geek podcast and founder of Expivia. For exceptional contact center outsourcing, trust Expivia. We're fully AI-driven, as all of you know, and can handle voice, email, chat, and all of your digital channels. Our 600-seat USA contact center is expert in healthcare, financial services, insurance, tech support, retail, and more. Experts on the NICE CX1 platform, we ensure seamless customer experiences. DM me or visit expiviausa.com for more.
This is Advice from a Call Center Geek, a weekly podcast with a focus on all things call center. We'll cover it all from call center operations, hiring, culture, technology, and education. We're here to give you actionable items to improve the quality of yours and your customers' experience. This is an evolving industry with creative minds and ambitious people like this guy. Not only is his passion call center operations, but he's our host. He's the CEO of Expivia Interaction Marketing Group and the Call Center Geek himself, Tom Laird.
Hi there, everybody, and welcome back to Advice from a Call Center Geek, the call center podcast where we try to give you some actionable items that you can take back to your contact center to improve your quality, improve your agents, improve your culture, and hopefully improve the customer experience as well. My name is Tom Laird. I'm the CEO of Expivia Interaction Marketing. Expivia is a 500-seat BPO call center. So we're a call center outsourcer located here in northwestern Pennsylvania. A burgeoning spring northwestern Pennsylvania as well. We've got temperatures in the 50s. I saw a couple buds on the trees today. So, I think we turned the corner here on our winter. I'm a little late with this podcast. Again, I apologize for that. It's been a kind of a crazy busy week. We were out in California in Pasadena visiting a potential client over the late weekend, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And you know how that goes when you get back into the office. There's always some craziness that you got to take care of. So I apologize that we're a little late, but it's I guess it's for good things. So today what we wanted to do is talk about how to incent your associates in your call center. So there's really like three main topics that I think no matter who you are in the call center universe, you enjoy hearing about. And it kind of reflects, too, the most downloaded episodes that we have on the podcast. So, number one, and I think the thing that people crave the most, which is kind of cool, is the games that you can play in your call center. And how to have fun in your call center, how to have fun with your associates, how to get them to really enjoy their job. And that's actually our most downloaded episode, when we talked about kind of 20 of the games that we play. So popular that, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to come out with another 20 more games that we have, because I think that, that was so well received. The other thing that everybody wants to hear about is turnover, and how to tactics and some things that we can do to affect turnover, make turnover, much, much lower in our call centers, because again, that's such a huge cost, and it's such an issue when it comes to culture, bringing people in and having a door just kind of rotate, that rotating door of associates, which is never good. So I think that what we're going to talk about today really does affect that. And again, it's kind of maybe a different way or a new look on how to incent your associates, and if you're maybe doing it the right way, or at least how I kind of perceive it, because I look at this a little differently. So let's kind of dig into this. A lot of you out there, and I would say 99% of call centers that are out there, pay an hourly rate, obviously, and then you give some type of commission. So that commission is based on certain criteria you have. Most of the time it's either based on sales or some type of quota that you give. Very rarely is it based on quality scores. That's not all the time. Sometimes the quality scores will be a piece of it. So the first thing that I'm going to ask you to think about when you are talking about paying and incenting your associates is, what are you incenting? Because that's the first question. And then that rolls back to, what is your culture? And most of the time, those are two really, really difficult questions for a lot of call center managers and call center executives to answer. So the first thing is, you really got to know what your culture is. And then you got to drill down and say, okay, how can I incent my associates to meet those pillars of our culture? So let me give you an example of this. So if any of you have listened to the podcast, you will know that our two pillars are attitude and effort. So we say our culture is a sunshine attitude with an entrepreneurial mindset, again, which boils down to attitude and effort. So what we do is we try to incent our associates. Now, this is outside of their hourly wage, so this is kind of like a commission, right? We don't call it commission, we call it proficiency pay, right? So proficiency pay works if they hit certain criteria that we have set on their program and then meet these kind of attitude and effort pillars that we discuss and we talk so much about. So to make proficiency pay, the first thing is attendance, right? Because you cannot be the most proficient associate that you can be if you're not here. So the first thing is and I think that this will affect a lot of you and maybe open some of your eyes. The first thing, no one gets any type of proficiency pay, no one gets any type of incentive pay unless you work 100% of your scheduled shift. So that's the first kind of benchmark that we need to hit. So let's say we have an associate, they worked 100% of their shift. So now we talk about specific things that turn into attitude and effort. So what are some of these attitude things that people need to hit? Notice I didn't really say sales quotas. That's going to be into this. That's going to be tied into what we have to do. But it's not going to be the overall arching theme. I think if you just incent on one KPI, you may get that KPI, but there's so much more that you can really kind of build an associate around. So our attitude criteria basically is our supervisor grade. So as you well know, if you've been listening, that we do an agent analysis, which is a 15-minute review with every single agent every single week. And the supervisor gives a grade on where we've been at goal for our sales, where we've been at goal for quality, where we are on our overall plan for progression. And that supervisor grade gets tied in. We then talk about our speech analytics, and this has been the biggest kind of change into how we can really pay our reps, because not only do we have a supervisor that's grading this, we also have some real criteria or a real score to see if somebody's had a good attitude, because our speech analytics is going to tell us what kind of sentiment score our agent has given for that week. So if we have a negative sentiment scoring for our agent, which basically means their tone wasn't right, they were down, they just weren't giving that high quality effort, or I guess really attitude, right? What we're talking about here, then they're not going to be eligible for proficiency pay. So we have a level of sentiment that all of our agents need to hit to be incentivized. So they know that. So they know when they come in, their tone is actually, we're paying for their tone. If you kind of think of it that way, which is pretty cool, because I think that's a huge piece of the customer experience. We always talk about the tone is the message, and now we have some way to really score that. And then the third thing that we look at is really quickly any adherence to policies, right? So if there's any type of write up, or we have a pretty strict dress code here, believe it or not. I know that goes against the grain of most call centers. Not wearing your name badge, any type of those types of things that are a security issue, we're not going to be eligible for proficiency. So let's say, again, we have an associate, going back to our example, worked 100% of his or her scheduled shift. The supervisor grade was great. They're given, really have a really good attitude. They're really working towards their goals. We see that their sentiment scoring, especially on our customer support, is really high. So they've been, really servicing and having a great tone with each customer. Then we're going to look at the second kind of pillar of this, which is effort, right? And effort really goes to more of the KPIs. So this is more of your hardcore. If you have retention goals, if you have conversion goals, your QA scoring, AHT, those types of telephony metrics, and also sales metrics or quality metrics that you guys have to hit. Obviously, you need to benchmark that and come up with a level that you believe is above average, because we should not be incenting average. We should be incenting above average. So if that associate, again, meets that criteria, then we go to kind of the last piece of this, which, again, kind of goes to, we call them holdbacks, or just certain things that they may not be doing. Again, that's kind of your not coming in late, right? Specifically, but maybe they're just coming in a little bit late for lunch, or they like to dilly-dally a little bit before they get to their seat. All those kind of little kind of annoying things that you really can't put your finger on. We just want to kind of make sure that we grasp those and we get that person to understand that if you're going to get paid and you're going to get proficiency, we're not paying just on a KPI. We're not paying you just on your attendance. We're paying you on being an overall proficient rep and being in a top, 10, 15% of our associates. And that's kind of what that boils down to. We pay proficiency on as of last week, it was about 16% of our associates. And how that works is if we deem that all of this is good and they've hit all these goals, then we do look at the KPIs. And we look at the sentiment scoring, and we have a kind of a number that we attach to that. So most of this is done on their KPIs when it comes to their actual pay and what they get as a bonus when they hit all the criteria. And we will incent our reps on an hourly rate. So we'll add to their hourly rate. So every kind of proficiency point is another $1 per hour per rep. So, we have, some associates that are making an extra $5, $6, $7 an hour, based on their attitude, their effort, and hitting KPIs. So I think that that's a little bit unique, maybe a little bit more painful way, right, of incenting your associates. But I think it makes a really well-rounded call center associate. When you put the time in to really think through how you're doing your incentivizing of them, that you're making sure that you understand your culture, you're making sure that you're going to pay your associates based on that culture. And, all those things that you believe make a well-rounded, awesome associate, then those are the things that you should tell them that they need to work on. And those are the things that you should tell them if they do, you're going to pay them more and you're going to incentivize them more. So again, that's kind of how we work our quote unquote commission, how most people kind of view it as that. Again, we call it proficiency pay. This doesn't, this goes really to the heart of the associate. So this isn't, any type of games we're playing or any giveaways or, any of those types of things that kind of, get into that turnover question too. But this is more of how we develop associates, how we pay our associates on a higher wage, and how we build leaders to make sure that, they start to talk to everybody else, those people that are making $4 to $5 more an hour, to really take some of those other call center reps under their wing and try to get them to there. The other thing too with our agent analysis, we're always hitting these 5 or 6 things when we're talking to our associates because we want everybody to hit this. If I have everybody on a proficiency pay scale and everybody's getting that, we're doing a pretty good job. So I'm pretty happy with, at that 16, 17%. That's a pretty high number for that, which means that we're making some really good progress with it. So I hope that that's a little bit helpful. I know this is a little quicker episode. It's been kind of a crazy week, but I wanted to definitely get something out to everybody that I think could be helpful. We're going to discuss turnover with the hiring principles again in an upcoming episode. So again, that's just really isn't a turnover episode or kind of talk or podcast. This is more of just I wanted to kind of maybe get you thinking a little bit on how you're paying your reps, how you're incenting your reps, and are you really incenting and paying them the right way, or are you just kind of being lazy and saying, all right, if you hit a couple numbers, then we're going to give you some more money. Really use your incentive program to form a really well-rounded associate. All right, so that's what I got for you guys this week. I hope again that's a little bit helpful. Please. If you have enjoyed these podcasts, please take some time and send or type up a little review for us. We really would appreciate that. Also, we have the Advice from a Call Center Geek Facebook page, our Twitter account, where we're kind of always posting some things that we, hopefully are helpful in the call center world. I do want to talk next week maybe a little bit about workforce management, workforce optimization, the Erlang calculator, making sure that you have the proper reps for the proper time periods, what occupancy should be, all those kind of nerdy call center statistical things that we all love. So, and of course, I got to do a little cheap plug for the book. So we do have Advice from a Call Center Geek book. It is on Amazon. So if you want to pick that up, we talk a little bit more in detail in some of the things that we discuss in the podcast in the book, and maybe you can take some notes with that too. I think it's been pretty helpful to a lot of people. So again, thank you guys very much, and I'll talk to you next week.
This has been Advice from a Call Center Geek. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to the show so you're the first to hear next week's episode. Jam-packed with actionable takeaways you can implement ASAP. Chime in with your thoughts on the episode on Twitter at from_geek and on Instagram at call_center_geek. Also, take a look at our contact center operations book by the same name, Advice from a Call Center Geek on Amazon. This podcast is sponsored by ExpiviaUSA.com.